Hello, friends. Welcome to Listen and Learn English, the place where you can read, listen, and learn English while improving your mind and your life. Today's story is not just a story, it's a journey. A journey about a student who trained his mind like iron. As you listen and follow along, practice your reading, practice your listening, and feel your English improving, word by word, sentence by sentence. Every word is simple, clear, and easy to understand. And every moment, your mind will feel inspired to grow stronger, just like the student in our story. Before we start, hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you never miss a lesson. Are you ready to listen, learn, and transform yourself today? Let's begin. Every morning felt like a mountain he could not climb. The alarm rang, and he felt the weight of the day pressing down on him before he even opened his eyes. The young student lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling, feeling small. His mind felt scattered, like a thin sheet of ice that could break at any moment. Simple thoughts overwhelmed him. Simple tasks became heavy. Walking to school felt like dragging a bag of stones. At school, he watched his classmates. They laughed easily. They spoke with confidence. They seemed to move through the world without fear. And he felt invisible, weak. His mind would drift during lessons. One thought would vanish, replaced by another. His memory failed him. His confidence sank a little lower each day. Even speaking simple words in class felt like a struggle. Sometimes he wanted to disappear. Sometimes he wanted to scream, but mostly he just felt stuck in a loop of weakness, stuck in a cycle of distraction. He wished he could be strong. He wished he could hold his mind steady, like iron, but it felt impossible. How could he change something so deep inside? Then one morning, as he sipped his tea, he caught himself thinking, what if I could change? The thought was small, almost shy. But it was there. A spark. Something he had not felt before. He imagined a mind that could stay focused. A mind that could resist fear. A mind that could handle any challenge. And for the first time in months, a small sense of hope crept into his chest. He did not know how to start. He did not know if he could keep going. But he knew one thing. He wanted to try. He wanted to test his mind, to train it, to see if he could make it strong, like iron. That thought lingered in his mind, growing quietly. It was not loud, not dramatic, just simple, just steady. But it was enough to wake him from the dull fog of his life. The student began to notice his habits more clearly. He realized how easily he lost focus. One moment he would read a page, the next he would stare at the wall, thinking about nothing. Exercises, routines, even small habits. All of them seemed to slip through his fingers. Nothing stuck. Each failure felt like a small hammer striking his confidence. He felt frustration bubbling inside him. He tried reading, hoping words would stick. They did, sometimes. But then he forgot the lesson 5 minutes later. He tried exercising, thinking movement would clear his mind. It helped for a moment, but soon his thoughts wandered again. He tried simple habits, writing lists, waking early, meditating. Some days were okay, most days were not. The pattern repeated, and frustration grew heavier each week. But within that frustration, curiosity stirred. A question whispered to him, what if my mind could be trained like a muscle? What if strength was not only in the body, but also in the mind? He began to imagine himself controlling his thoughts, staying focused, and facing challenges without fear. The idea was strange, yet exciting. something deep inside him responded. He wanted to know more. He wanted to find a way. He watched others succeed, wondering, why am I always behind? But instead of sinking into despair, he allowed that question to fuel him. Each time he saw a classmate succeed, he felt a small push in his chest. A push that said, "You can do this too." And slowly, the thought became stronger. Slowly, the possibility of change began to feel real. He began to experiment in small ways. 10 minutes of focus, one short exercise, one simple habit repeated each day. He failed sometimes. He forgot sometimes. But he kept trying. And every attempt, no matter how small, made him feel a little stronger. He began to realize that weakness was not permanent, that a mind could grow, that perhaps one day he could train his mind to be like iron. And that hope, small and steady, carried him forward. The student began to try something new. He realized that change did not come from one big action. It came from small steps, repeated every day. He started with reading. Just 10 minutes in the morning, just a page or two. Simple words, simple sentences, but he focused completely. He paid attention to each word. He let the ideas sink slowly into his mind. Next, he practiced focused thinking. For 5 minutes, he would sit quietly and watch his thoughts. When his mind wandered, he gently brought it back. No judgment, no frustration, just awareness. He learned to notice distractions and return to calm thinking. He also added small mental exercises. Simple memory games, short mental math, or recalling details from his day. At first, it was difficult. His mind resisted. He felt tired, impatient, and sometimes bored. But he kept going. Each day, he repeated the routine. Each day, the spark inside him grew a little brighter. It was not magic. But each day, he felt a small spark in his mind, a tiny iron strength forming. He began to notice small changes. He could read a longer page without losing attention. He could think clearly when a problem appeared. Even his mood improved. He felt lighter, more awake, more capable. He realized that strength is not sudden. It grows slowly, like water shaping stone, like muscles growing after repeated practice. The small routines seemed almost invisible, but together they created real change. And for the first time, he felt hope, real hope. He imagined himself stronger, more focused, and more confident. He imagined tackling bigger challenges. And in that imagination, he found excitement. Each day, he looked forward to his small routine. 10 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of focus. Small exercises that felt almost invisible. But every time he completed them, he felt a little stronger, a little more like iron. He knew this was only the beginning. The mind could grow. The mind could change. And he was ready to see how far it could go. The first real test came sooner than he expected. A long, boring assignment awaited him. The kind that made his mind scream to quit. He felt the old frustration rising. His fingers wanted to stop writing. His thoughts wanted to wander. But he remembered his routines. He remembered the spark forming inside his mind. He whispered to himself, "Iron minds do not break." The words were simple, but they carried power. He focused on the first sentence, one small step, then the second. He ignored the boredom. He ignored the temptation to stop. Step by step, he moved forward. Each paragraph completed felt like a small victory. Each page finished felt like proof that he could endure. Frustration was still there. Tiredness tugged at his body. The mind still wanted to quit. But he kept breathing. He kept focusing. He reminded himself, strength grows in the moments when you do not give up. His confidence began to rise with each completed task. By the end of the assignment, he felt a new sense of power. He realized that the exercises were not just practice. They were training for real life. They taught patience, focus, and persistence. They taught him that small victories could build strength over time. And he began to imagine himself facing even bigger challenges. For the first time, he understood something important. Success is not about talent. It is about small, consistent actions. Each choice to continue, each refusal to quit, each repetition of a habit, this is what builds an iron mind. And now, he wanted to see how strong his mind could become. The day ended, but the feeling stayed. He had pushed through something difficult. He had trained his mind, even a little, and it had responded. The spark of strength had grown, and he knew one thing clearly. The first test was only the beginning. Bigger challenges were ahead, and he was ready. Every day brought small tests. Sometimes it was a loud classroom that pulled his attention away. Sometimes it was a difficult question that made him doubt himself. Other times, it was a small mistake in his notebook, or forgetting a word he had just learned. Each day, life found ways to challenge him. But now, he had tools. The small iron mind habits he had learned became his shield. 10 minutes of focused reading each morning sharpened his attention. 5 minutes of meditation calmed his racing thoughts. Short affirmations repeated quietly to himself reminded him, "I am capable. I am strong. My mind is iron." At first, these actions felt small, almost invisible. But he noticed something changing. His mind did not wander as much. His fear of mistakes faded slowly. He began to notice how thoughts could rise and fall like waves. And instead of being carried away, he could ride them, steady and calm. Every small victory stacked like iron plates in his mind, making him stronger than yesterday. Reading a paragraph without distraction became a win. Staying calm during a minor setback became a win. Remembering a word he had forgotten became a win. These small wins did not feel dramatic, but they built a quiet strength, a steady resilience that surprised him. He began to understand that transformation is not instant. It is built slowly, day by day, like the iron that grows stronger when hammered repeatedly. Each small habit, each moment of focus, each gentle reminder to himself, it all added up. He was learning that real change is realistic. It is achievable. And it starts with small, consistent steps that anyone can take. Then, a bigger challenge came. A test he had been dreading for weeks. Questions that seemed impossible. Pressure from classmates who seemed to know the answers. Doubt and fear pressed against him, heavier than ever before. His mind wanted to give up. His hand shook slightly. He almost felt the old panic returning. But he remembered the iron mind exercises. He remembered the spark that had grown inside him. He breathed slowly, focusing on one question at a time. He repeated his affirmations quietly. I am capable. I am strong. My mind is iron. One step at a time, one answer at a time. The struggle was real. Frustration rose. Thoughts of quitting whispered in his ear. But he did not give in. He focused on small victories. He finished a problem. He answered a question correctly. He kept moving forward. Step by step, the pressure eased. Confidence grew. When the test ended, he realized something important. This was the moment his mind could have broken. But it did not. Iron holds. The strength he had built in small, quiet moments over days and weeks had carried him through a big challenge. He felt relief, pride, and a deep sense of power. He understood now, life will always test him. Challenges will appear again and again, but each test is an opportunity. Each moment of struggle is a chance to strengthen the mind. The small habits, repeated daily, build resilience that lasts. And he felt ready, strong enough to face the next test, whatever it might be. He walked home slowly that evening, thinking about the journey. Each day of small focus, each moment of calm, each tiny victory, it had built something real, something he could feel in his chest and in his mind. Iron strength. And he smiled quietly, knowing this was only the beginning. Days turned into weeks, and the student began to notice something new. His habits no longer felt forced. The 10 minutes of focused reading, the meditation, the affirmations, they were natural parts of his day. He did them without thinking. His mind had grown stronger, steadier. The distractions that once pulled him away now seemed smaller. His self-doubt began to fade. Confidence grew quietly inside him. It was not loud or boastful, but steady and calm. When he faced a difficult question, he did not panic. When a classmate laughed at a mistake, he did not feel crushed. He could breathe, think, and respond with calm focus. The small victories of the past had added up. They were no longer just exercises. They had become who he was. He also began helping others. A classmate struggled with homework, and he quietly showed them a method he had learned. Another friend felt nervous about reading aloud, and he encouraged them gently. Teaching others made him feel stronger. He realized that strength is not just personal, it spreads when shared. His identity was shifting. He was no longer the weak, lost student. He was disciplined, resilient, and steady. He noticed that he no longer feared failure. Mistakes were part of learning, not something to avoid. He had built a mind that could face challenges calmly, a mind that responded instead of panicking. His imagination of himself as iron was no longer imagination. It had become reality. Each habit, each small victory, each day of focus had transformed him. Looking around the classroom, he felt calm. He looked at his own reflection in a window and felt pride. Not pride in showing off, but pride in quiet strength. He could see himself differently now. And he hoped, silently, that others could see the change too. That they might imagine themselves following the same path, building the same calm, steady, iron mind. One evening, he sat alone and thought about the journey he had traveled. He remembered the early mornings, the frustration, the small failures, and the first spark of hope. He realized something important. Anyone could train their mind like iron. Strength was not born, it was built. Step by step, day by day, with patience and focus. He wanted to share what he had learned. Start small, he thought. Focus for a few minutes each day. Be consistent. Face challenges, even when they are difficult. Repeat every day. These simple steps, repeated over time, create change. He wished he had known this earlier. He wished everyone could see that transformation is possible, no matter how weak or lost they feel. He smiled quietly, imagining the viewers watching his story. He knew they could do it too. If he could grow from scattered thoughts and fear into calm, disciplined strength, they could as well. Every iron mind starts with one small spark, one habit, one moment of focus, one decision to keep going even when it is difficult. He thought about his friends and classmates. Some would never try. Some would give up too soon. But those who were willing to take small steps every day could change their minds, their habits, and their lives. He wanted the viewers to feel that power, to feel hope, to feel that quiet strength growing inside, waiting to be trained. Finally, he whispered to himself, and to the viewers too. The journey is yours. Start today. Begin with one small action. One moment of focus. One choice to keep going. Your mind can grow. Your mind can change. Your mind can become iron. And with it, your life can shift too. He leaned back, feeling calm, inspired, and ready. The weak student from the beginning had transformed. He was not finished yet. There was more to learn, more to grow, more strength to build. But now he knew the path. And he hoped that the viewers watching could take the first step with him today. The student now saw life in a new way. Every obstacle no longer felt like a wall to stop him. Instead, each difficulty became a chance to grow stronger. A noisy classroom was a test of focus. A confusing lesson was a chance to practice patience. Even small distractions like a phone buzzing or a friend calling became challenges to overcome. Every day held opportunities to train his mind like iron. He realized that life would never be perfectly easy. Challenges would always appear. But now he saw them differently. They were not threats. They were tools. Each moment of struggle was an opportunity to practice calm, focus, and determination. His mind had shifted. He could handle more than he had imagined. Fear no longer controlled him. Doubt no longer stopped him. Small victories continued to stack. Each completed habit, each moment of focus, each time he resisted giving up, it all added up. He began to notice patterns in life. Success was not about luck or talent. It was about daily choices. It was about consistency. It was about taking one small, steady step forward every day. He thought about the future. The skills he was building were not just for school. They were for life. A strong mind, trained like iron, would help him handle work, relationships, and unexpected challenges. He realized, iron minds do not just survive. They thrive. They move through life with calm strength, ready for whatever comes next. And he felt gratitude for the journey he had begun months ago, when he had only felt weak, lost, and unsure of himself. Looking around his room, he noticed the quiet changes in his habits, his thoughts, and his confidence. And he understood something important. The rewards of mental training were not sudden. They were gradual. They grew slowly, quietly, and powerfully. And that slow growth was beautiful. Finally, he reflected on the lessons he wanted to share. Start small, stay consistent, face challenges, repeat daily. Each simple step could build strength inside anyone's mind. The process was not instant, but it was reliable. Each habit, each moment of focus, each repetition was a brick in the foundation of an iron mind. He smiled quietly, thinking about viewers watching. They might feel weak or lost now, just as he had. But he wanted them to know something powerful. Change is possible. If he could do it, so could they. Every iron mind starts with one small spark, one habit, one thought, one decision to keep going, even when it feels hard. Your mind is waiting. Start today. One thought, one habit, one iron step at a time. These were not just words. They were a promise, a path, a method to grow stronger every day. He imagined viewers taking their first steps, feeling small victories, and discovering the same calm strength he had found. He hoped they would notice that real power comes from daily choices, not sudden miracles. As he closed his notebook for the evening, he felt peaceful and inspired. The weak student from the beginning had transformed, but he was not finished. The journey would continue. Life would bring new challenges, new distractions, new doubts. Yet he knew that each moment of focus, each repetition of a habit, each refusal to quit would keep building his iron mind. And he wanted viewers to understand that their journey could begin today, right now. He whispered to himself and to the audience, "The mind can grow. The mind can change. You can change. Begin with one small habit, one small focus, one small action. And over time, your mind will become iron. Your life can shift too. The first step is yours. Take it today and keep going." Wow, friends, what a journey. The student has trained his mind, built strength, and changed his life. And now, it's your turn. Remember, every iron mind starts with one small spark. Start today. Read, listen, practice, and take one small step at a time. Your mind can grow, your English can improve, and your life can transform. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment, and share with a friend who wants to learn English and grow stronger. And don't forget to subscribe to Listen and Learn English. Your journey to better English and a stronger mind continues here every day.